It started on a foggy Tuesday morning, the kind that clings to your skin and makes everything feel heavier than it should. I was visiting the old Pine Grove Cemetery, where my grandmother was buried. Rex, my 5-year-old German Shepherd, rode shotgun as usual. He was calm, alert, with that proud posture only working dogs seem to have. As I placed flowers on Grandma's grave, Rex suddenly stiffened. His ears shot up. Without warning, he bolted 3 rows over and began digging like mad near a weathered stone cross. I called out. No response, just dirt flying. Rex, what the hell are you doing? I jogged over, embarrassed, brushing my hands against my jeans as a couple nearby stared. Sorry. He's usually better behaved. But Rex wasn't just digging randomly. He was focused, determined. His front paws struck the earth like hammers, panting between pulls. I tugged his leash. He growled softly. That's when I saw it, a corner of something metallic poking through the soil. My curiosity kicked in. I dropped to my knees and started helping. Minutes later, we unearthed a rusted metal box with a heavy lock, military surplus style, old, dented, and out of place in a cemetery. I looked around. No one else seemed to notice. I whispered, "What did you find, boy?" His tail wagged, but his eyes never left the box. That night, I couldn't sleep. The box sat in my garage, locked and silent like it was daring me to open it. And the weirdest part? Rex refused to leave its side. At exactly 2:13 a.m., he started growling, low, steady, protective. I peeked out the window and saw someone standing across the street, watching my house. That's when I knew, this wasn't just an old box. This was a secret someone was willing to protect. The man didn't move. He stood under the street lamp, wearing a long coat and a wide-brimmed hat, the kind you'd expect in a 1940s noir film, not in our sleepy little town. I blinked. He was gone. Just vanished. I grabbed my flashlight and stepped outside, Rex glued to my leg. He kept looking in the direction of the cemetery. He wasn't barking. He was on alert, like a soldier ready for orders. The wind howled through the trees. It carried with it a strange smell, musty, earthy, like old books or wet stone. The box still sat on my workbench in the garage. I'd Googled how to open a rusted military lockbox without blowing yourself up, and decided I'd need bolt cutters, or better yet, the locksmith I knew from downtown. Rex didn't like that plan. When I picked up the box to take it to my truck, he growled and actually put his paw on my foot, stopping me. Rex, what is with you, man? He didn't blink. He just stood there, blocking me. So, I left it. That night, I set up one of my trail cameras, the kind I use for wildlife photography, and aimed it straight at the box, just in case. I finally fell asleep with Rex curled beside me, but it wasn't peaceful. I had dreams, weird ones, a girl in a white dress crying near a gravestone, a whisper in my ear, he wasn't supposed to be buried there. At 3:04 a.m., I jolted awake to the sound of the trail cam's motion alert pinging my phone. I opened the feed. Nothing at first. Then, there it was. The box had moved, just a little, maybe 2 inches, but enough that the camera registered it. I replayed the footage. No person, no animal, no wind strong enough to do that. Just the box, shifting. Rex was already standing, tail stiff, nose pointed toward the garage. That's when I decided to open it. First light. At dawn, I grabbed the bolt cutters. Rex sat next to the workbench like a furry bouncer. I snipped through the rusted lock, and with a squeal, the hinges popped open. Inside? Old photographs. Dozens. Black and white. Curled at the edges. Some were faded to the point of uselessness, but others were horrifyingly clear. One showed the cemetery, the same rows, same trees, but with a coffin half buried, lid open, and no body inside. Another showed a man with a wide-brimmed hat, the same one I'd seen the night before, standing behind what looked like my house, in 1964. I dropped the photo. Rex whined. Beneath the photos was a yellowed newspaper clipping. Local girl disappears from funeral. Police suspect cover-up. And taped to the back? A handwritten note. Dig deeper. She's not the only one. I looked at Rex, and he stared back like he already knew. Whatever this was, we were in it now. That note haunted me all morning. Dig deeper. She's not the only one. What did it mean? Who wrote it? And why leave it buried in a cemetery? The first thing I did was scan the newspaper clipping. It was from August 2, 1964, from a paper I'd never heard of, the Pine Grove Weekly Gazette. It told the story of a 10-year-old girl named Lena Mae Carter, who disappeared during her own grandfather's funeral. Let that sink in, not after. During. Witnesses said she was last seen standing by his open grave, wearing a white dress and holding a small bouquet of lilies. Then, nothing. Gone. The search lasted weeks. Rumors flew, wild animals, a kidnapping, even something worse. But it was the final line that chilled me. Funeral attendees reported seeing a man in a wide-brimmed hat near the tree line, who vanished when approached. Same guy. No question. Rex started growling again, and when I looked up, he was pacing near the back door, glancing at me, then the cemetery. He wanted to go back. I grabbed my flashlight, the photos, and the newspaper, and loaded Rex into the truck. We drove in silence. It was still early, dew clinging to the grass like cold sweat. Pine Grove Cemetery looked like it always did, peaceful, still. Too still. Rex leapt from the truck and bolted. Same grave, same spot. This time, I didn't stop him. He dug faster than I'd ever seen, spraying chunks of dirt into the air like he was unearthing a time capsule. And then I heard it, a thunk, hollow, metallic. Whoa! I dropped to my knees beside him. A rusted metal hatch, maybe 2 feet wide. Not a coffin. A door. In the ground. It had a handle, just barely hanging on. I grabbed it, heart pounding, and pulled. The door creaked open, revealing a short, stone-lined tunnel. My flashlight beam revealed a ladder, disappearing down into darkness. Rex whined. Nope, I said. No way. We're not. Rex jumped down the ladder. Damn it, Rex. I hesitated for 1 second, then followed. What else could I do? The tunnel smelled like mold, iron, and something, sweet, wrong. My flashlight flickered, but held steady as I climbed down. At the bottom, a narrow passage carved from rock, with wooden support beams every 10 feet. It looked like a mine shaft, but older. Rex was ahead, sniffing, tail straight. That's when I saw the first sign. A child's shoe. Dusty, tiny, pink bow still attached. Next to it, a doll's head, cracked and missing an eye. Then a voice behind me, soft as wind. She wouldn't stop screaming, so I buried her too. I turned. No one was there. Rex barked once, sharp, urgent, and sprinted ahead. I ran after him, heart in my throat, until the passage opened into a small underground chamber, and what we found inside would make the headlines for the next 6 months. The room was no bigger than a garden shed, but the air inside felt thick, like the past had been bottled up and left to rot. Rex stood frozen in the center, hackles raised, eyes fixed on the far wall. That's where I saw it. A wall of names. Dozens, maybe 100. Each carved carefully into the stone, one below the other. Some names were familiar, local families. Others, I didn't recognize, but a few had tiny items placed beneath them, a toy truck, a ribbon, a locket. And beside each one, a date. All between 1949 and 1973. All children. My breath caught. I scanned the wall until I found it. Lena Mae Carter, August 2, 1964. It wasn't just a burial site. It was a record. Someone, or something, had been keeping track. Then Rex let out a low growl, deep in his throat. He moved to a pile of debris in the corner and began pawing at it. Beneath a tattered tarp, he revealed a small wooden chest. I knelt beside it and slowly opened the lid. Inside were dozens of objects, school ID cards, tiny notebooks, drawings, more old photographs, all belonging to missing children. Some were water-damaged, others perfectly preserved, like someone had come down here regularly to clean and arrange them. And in the very bottom, a bundle of old 8mm film reels, labeled, in a neat, almost loving hand, Lena, Lucy, Joel, Maddie. My stomach twisted. The realization hit me all at once. This wasn't a grave. It was a trophy room. I stumbled backward, bile rising in my throat. Who could have done this? A caretaker? A serial killer hiding in plain sight? A network of people? A light flickered to my left. Then a faint sound, a metallic clink, echoed through the passage behind us. We weren't alone anymore. I grabbed the chest, slinging it over my shoulder, and whispered, "Rex. Out. Now." He obeyed instantly, spinning and bounding back toward the tunnel. I followed, heart pounding in my ears. The air behind us seemed to grow colder, heavier. Then, a voice, same as before, but closer. "You shouldn't have opened it." I didn't look back. We scrambled up the ladder, out into the blinding daylight. I slammed the metal hatch shut and threw my toolbox on top of it. I couldn't breathe. The camera on my phone had recorded everything. The tunnel, the names, the chest. I uploaded it all to my cloud backups, just in case. Then I called the police. At first, they thought I was crazy. Until they opened the hatch. By noon, the entire cemetery was crawling with investigators. Crime scene tape fluttered in the wind. News vans started to arrive by 3 p.m. The mayor made a statement by 5. That night, they confirmed the worst. The names matched the cold case files of dozens of missing children, spanning nearly 3 decades. The town was in shock. But the biggest shock came the next day, when the man in the hat was spotted on a nearby trail camera. They released the image to the public the next morning, grainy, black and white, from a trail cam mounted behind Pine Grove Cemetery. It showed a man walking away from the woods at 2:17 a.m., hours after we found the chamber. His face was turned just enough to catch one chilling detail: the same wide-brimmed hat. People went nuts online. Reddit threads exploded. Twitter, or whatever we're calling it now, lit up with hashtags like #HatmanPinegrove and #RexTheHeroDog. Theories flew in every direction. Was it a descendant of the killer? A ghost? A local cult member keeping the tradition alive? But I didn't care about theories. I cared about Rex. He hadn't been the same since the discovery. Skittish. Alert. Sleeping lightly. He'd lay by the garage door every night, staring at it like something on the other side was waiting to return. 3 days later, it did. At 3:03 a.m., the motion alert from my trail cam pinged again. I grabbed my phone and checked the feed. My stomach dropped. The man in the hat was in my yard. Not near the cemetery. Not across the street. 20 feet from my back door. I rushed to the window, heart hammering. There he was, tall, thin, still as a statue, and looking directly at the camera. Not moving. Not blinking. Rex stood up slowly beside me, growling, his tail low, his ears pinned. I did the stupid thing. I opened the door. "Who are you?" I shouted into the dark. "What do you want?" The man tilted his head slightly. Then, in a voice that sounded like wind in dry grass, "She's still down there. The others were just distractions." Before I could react, he was gone. Just gone. Rex bolted toward the yard, barking like mad, but the man had vanished. I called the detective in charge of the cemetery case, and they were at my house in minutes. We reviewed the footage, frame by frame. No sign of entry or exit. Just the man. Then gone. But he left something behind. Near my shed, buried under fresh-turned earth, they found a second metal box. Inside, a map of Pine Grove, hand-drawn, detailed, with 3 more X's marked outside the known cemetery perimeter. Beneath it, a single photo. A little girl in a white dress, and scrawled on the back in elegant handwriting, "She wasn't the first. She won't be the last unless you finish what your dog started." I looked down at Rex, who stood proud, tail high, gaze locked on the tree line. The town would never be the same again. Neither would I. Because one thing was now crystal clear. This wasn't over. It was just beginning. Comment below. What do you think Rex uncovered? Was it just the beginning of something much darker? If you believe dogs know more than we do, hit that like button. Subscribe if you want to hear what happened when I followed the map in the second box. Part 2 coming soon, but only if enough of you want it. Let me know below.